Today I'm going to be taking a look at a product by HOMFPV.com. Says on the box, let's FPV together. I quite like that. And this is the Micron HD Vista, so it's like a 2-inch CineWhoop type thing. Now, something that's interesting about HOMFPV, before I had even seen a product, they had put a lot of adverts out there and promotion regarding this HOMFPV brand, and they've sent me some clothing. They've got some t-shirts, some jackets, and I can see what they're trying to do, because these days it is as much about the brand as it is the product. But you have to have a decent product behind that brand, and you tend to not be able to build a brand overnight, and it seemed like that's what they were trying to do with this. There were adverts everywhere, all over my Facebook and videos, and pilots wearing the gear and stuff like that. So let's see if the product is any good. This is the box that it comes in, and straight away we have got a cloth. It seems to put the quadcopter in, and we have got a little schematic here for the what looks like a all-in-one board here. Yeah, so it's telling you how to connect stuff up. However, this is the DJI Fly version, so different receiver options there. I just wonder if you can get it with different receiver options. So just says the Fly version on the website, so it looks like you're going to have to add your own receiver if you want anything other than DJI, but I'm using the DJI transmitter, so that's fine. Let's see what we've got here. So just very short manual inside the box. This is the quadcopter itself. We've just got the little Insta360 Go mount on there. So we have got a screw going through here, and also a nut on the other side that is tightened up. So that should be interesting for the Insta360 Go, because this looks very similar to the Diatone Tina. Very similar design. The only difference is that this one is a True X and the Diatone Tina was a dead cat configuration. This one is a 95mm, and the Diatone Tina was, I think, 86mm. Not that much in it, but yes, it's essentially a tiny whoop, CineWhoop thing for capturing Insta360 Go footage at the front. And let's have a look what we've got in here. So we've got a spare set of the props. These are the 20-36x4, and they are Gemfan props, so spare set of those. Then we have got some foam to go around the outside if you want it to be more of sort of like a basher, but that is going to add weight and it's not going to fly as good with that on. So 2 of those. And we've got a bag of stuff here. Let's see what is in here. So that's a naked GoPro mount. Yep, so that would fit on the top there. So that's quite nice actually. But what I would like to see, we've got a cable there. So is that a 4-pin, is it? Yeah, 1.25mm, I think that is. Hard to tell looking at it. So that's going to be for your naked GoPro, but I'm not seeing an outlet anywhere to solder to, so I am getting a little bit fed up of that, to be honest. It's fine for the Insta360 Go because that's just going to pop in there. In fact, I've got it to the side here somewhere, so that's just going to pop in that way. Now, something that I'm a bit concerned about as well is this platform. When it was the Diatone Tina, wasn't very good for the Insta360 Go. The Insta360 Go needs a lot of vibration dampening, and I think it's because the motors are very close and we're using these plastic frames. I could not get any type of 3D print to not have vibrations through the Insta360 Go camera. So if they have cracked that with this one, that would be absolutely great. So we've got the Vista in the middle there, and it's using the Nebula Nano camera, so it's not going to be the best of quality out of the DJI HD FPV system. It's interesting. We have got like an extension connector here for the Vista, and I think that's just because it's really tricky. Yeah, there you go. So you plug in another USB Type-C into there and you program the Vista, so looks like you're gonna have to activate that and update it, which is fine. And then the flight controller and all-in-one ESC board, it's like custom shaped here like that, and it doesn't look like it's got much to it, to be honest, because that's just sat at the top there. I do like how we have got the access for the flight controller on there. So let's see what it's got. It's an all-in-one flight controller ESC board, and it is a F4 flight controller with BL Heli S 10 amp each continuous with a peak of 20 amp for 5 seconds. You know, so that should be pretty decent. We've got a decent battery strap on here, and we've got a silicone mat underneath there so that the battery doesn't slip. Now, in terms of the battery, what else have we got there? Just some stickers. In terms of the battery, they are recommending an unusual battery size of 850 milliamp 3S, and I think that is sending a message straight away, because an 850 milliamp 3S battery on a quadcopter like this, that's going to be heavy, and that is saying to you, look, this is going to be heavy to get decent flight times. You know, don't expect it to be aerobatic, just expect to use it to get this smooth footage from these cameras. Now, unfortunately, I don't have an 850 milliamp 3S. It's quite an unusual size. I've got this JJ Pro 850 milliamp 3S battery here. But I figure what I do have is I've got a 650 milliamp, and it's probably not that much difference with this old one and with the one I've got here, this GMB one. So that's 67 grams, I think 66 grams with the XT60 connector, but this is XT30 on this one. So let's see what we have got there. So 63, so I would say these are about 5 grams, these are. So I'm going to use this 650 milliamp 3S and hope that we get similar results, but yeah, not a usual battery size 850 milliamp 3S. So let's see how much the thing weighs. So that's coming in at, is that 112 grams? And then with this battery on here, and that is 175 grams. And if I then stick on the Insta360 Go, it's not fell through, has it? Yeah. So 193 grams is that. So it's actually going to be quite a heavy craft, isn't it? And it's probably to do with all of this ducting that's around here. I mean, they're protectors, you know, but they're quite thick here, and that's like a plastic. I'm not too sure on this design, you know, we'll have to see. So yeah, I've got a carbon top plate there. It looks very thin, and the motor is so close up here vibration wise to the frame. Now I have to say, I really like how they have mounted the Nebula Nano camera here. So it's mounted in, is that metal or plastic? It's hard to tell, but it's mounted directly into here. It's a bit loose actually, it could do with tightening up. So a 1.5mm screwdriver to tighten them up. The only thing I'm seeing is a bit weird, and it could be something to do with this camera. It's not the best camera, really. We really need a Pro version of this to come out so that it's on par with the Nebula Pro. But it does look like the lens is if there's vibrations here, that could knock the lens, but it's in here in the side, and I can't decide whether it's, I think it might be plastic, you know, so we'll have to see whether we get vibrations through here, because, you know, with the diatone teen, it was a real struggle not to have vibrations going through it. But yeah, this is soft mounted here on the flight controller and ESC board, and we've just got a little 3D printed part here for the Cadex Vista antenna, which is pretty nice. The motors are interesting. They are a little bit bling, and something I did like was a nice touch. They actually have got the stator on the side upside down, so even though they're mounted upside down, they have got the stator number the right way. So they're on 1104, and they are 6,500 kV, sort of a pearlescent colour on there. You know, it's what all the boy racers wanted, their, you know, early 2000 cars to get resprayed as, but hey, I'm not knocking that. It looks really smart, this thing does. The price is around 203 GBP, so yeah, I mean, maybe a budget price for something that's got the DJI system in it. Of course, these Nebula cameras bring down the price as well. I can see a little capacitor in there for noise, but yeah, everything's crammed in there pretty tight, so let's see how it is set up. Alrighty, let's take a look at the Betaflight setup. It's come flash with version 4.2.4. Let's check out the ports tab, and we don't have any spare UARTs, so UART 2 is taken up here for the Cadex Vista on the MSP, and then for UART 1 we've got the S-Bus on Serial RX, which is going to be for my DJI controller. Let's go in the configuration tab. We've got a props out configuration, which I need to remember if I break a prop. D-Shot 300 and motor stop off, that's good. We've got bi-directional D-Shot, so we've actually got JESC installed on this one, which is good. Yeah, motor idle at 6, all that is fine, and we don't have any board alignment correction. Arming 90, I would change that to 180. It just means that it will arm no matter what angle the quadcopter is, so if we get stuck in a tree we can arm it and hopefully shake it out. If it's any more than 90, then it won't arm. We've got 8K, 4K, which is fine. We have got some personalization down there, and we've got S-Bus here for the DJI controller, LED strip, air mode, OSD dynamic filter. That is all good. And we don't have RX lost on here. This is something I like to do, so there's no physical beeper on this one. And this just means that when you lose the transmission from the transmitter or your control, that it will still beep. Don't know why people turn that off. It's not like it takes up anything to have it turned on. It's always a good thing to have. So let's save and reboot that one. Okay, so now if we go into the power and battery, I'm going to change this to 3.3 and 3.0, just in case we get any voltage sag. PID tuning, okay, so we have got some custom PIDs here on profile 3, and then the rest of them are just normal PIDs. Interesting that they've gone for profile 3. I'll have to check through the on-screen display and the goggles to make sure that it is profile 3, and same with the rate profile as well. And rate profile 6 though, that is stock rate settings there. We don't have any throttle limit, but then yeah, look at that. Oh, that's interesting as well. So rate profile 1, that's fairly docile, that is. That's flyable, but yeah, maybe for a Cinewhoop, that's really docile. It depends whether it's selected or not. Rate profile 2, even lower, so that's going to be extremely docile on that one. So yeah, that's something to check which one is selected there. Otherwise we are going to be using stock, which is fine. Again, this is suggesting that this is not an aerobatic Cinewhoop of any kind. So if we go to the receiver tab, looks like it's locked up there, going well. Let's go to the receiver tab. I just need to swap these around to ATER for my DJI transmitter, and I'm going to stick in some deadband of 7 as well so that it doesn't drift in the center of the sticks. So let's go to the modes tab. So arming on aux 3 and straight into angle, so they only want you to fly it in angle mode, I guess. Now that is different on my one, so it's aux 1 to arm, and then let's stick in acro there because we're going to need acro to fly smoother. If we can't do anything else like rolls or anything, you still want acro there, but let's go for, I think it's aux 4 on my DJI transmitter for angle, and then acro over here. And they do have beepers set up actually, and I think that is actually the aux 2 on my DJI transmitter, so that's fine. They'll always have flip over after crash. I'm going to get rid of that on the aux 1, interestingly, so be careful with that, because a lot of the times you have arming as your aux 1, and if you try and arm it on that, it's going to go straight into flip over after crash and be like, why is the thing just only flipping over, or why are 2 motors just arming? So yeah, that's not a good thing for a beginner for sure. So I'm going to take that off. Let's go into the on-screen display, see what we are looking at here. So it's interesting again, we just have a couple of things. We've got the craft name, which I'm not too bothered about. And we've got the current draw. Again, not too bothered about that. It's usually not that accurate. And warnings as well. I might just leave that there. That's not going to be too much of a problem. But yeah, nice. So they got the craft name on there. So let's check out video transmitter. So yeah, it's set up for DJI, which is fine. I've already plugged in the Vista and it needs activating. So that's something you'll have to do as well. Alrighty, let's go for an FPV flight with this guy. Whoa! Something not right there straight away. So it's set to profile number 3, which is their PIDs that they've set. And I'm getting incredible vibrations. That's a PID problem, that is. Not a good start, is it, that? I mean, I know it's a PID problem because this camera's mounted really nicely, but we're still getting jello through it, and I can just hear just constant oscillations, so I need to change that PID straight away. Alrighty, I have changed the PIDs. Still not good. It's better, but they've got the PIDs so high. Well, the PIDs were set incredibly high. I'm still seeing vibrations here, but don't think that's from the PIDs now. I can't hear it anyways. So, disappointing from that camera mount. Usually a mount like that, you wouldn't see any jello. It's a sunny day, of course. That doesn't bode well for the Insta 360 Go on the top, because they don't like vibrations. Tell you, it's got plenty of power though. Let's see what happens to the voltage. So you can do acro maneuvers with it. It's a very calm day here today. So it's got enough poke to be doing acro maneuvers. Yeah, charge this battery to a high volt so we can get a little bit more time out of it. But yeah, sorry, that jello's a no for me. And also that tune that it comes with is ridiculous. Maybe it's the tune for this flying, you know, without a camera on the top of it, but at least give us some options. If you're going to give us the mounts, then, you know, give us some options. Anyways, I'll flick between the Insta 360 Go if it's recording, because I've had it a while and the battery doesn't last long, and it, you know, it's hit and miss whether you're going to get any footage out of it anyways. But you know what? Why has it got a weird tune on it like that? Now, I just reduced the PIDs drastically to around about 30 for the P gains and about 24, 25 for the D gains. I'm not liking the jello that I'm seeing through the feed here. But, you know, positives, it's got plenty of power. I'm really impressed with that. And what, we're 2 minutes into the flight, including the first bit, and we're still only reading 10 volts, so 10.6. We want to be landing at 10. So yeah, with an 850 milliamp hour battery, I can see it flying for as long as they say. I'm gonna get, you know, maybe 3.5 to 4 minutes with 650 milliamp. But yeah, that jello there in the feed, not good enough, and the PID's not good enough, I'm afraid. For that bobbing as well, that's just because, you know, the PIDs that I've given it. Of course, this thing, you know, it's really meant to be getting decent video footage, but you know, if it's not doing that, then what is its purpose, would be my question. Things bobbing around all over the place. Come on, just give it a decent tune. Anyways, that's my battery already. Okay, I'm gonna have to land over here somewhere. Well, I've spent a bit of time now trying to tune this guy, and this is the best I can get out of it. I mean, in my opinion, that's just not on. Still getting jello through the camera. I think what's happening is the lens of the camera is slightly touching the frame at the front, but as I found with the diatone Tina, these things vibrate like crazy anyways, this style of frame, and I couldn't get the vibrations out of that one either. But interestingly, the mount for the Insta360 Go, not the housing for the camera that goes around the camera, but the mount, the screws underneath, they were very loose. Now I don't know if they've done that on purpose, because these Insta360 Go cameras, they do require to be a little bit loose so that the vibrations don't feed through to the gyro, basically. So I've tightened that up, and we can see if we are getting better Insta360 Go results, but I'd be very surprised. This one's going to have to be a no from me, I'm afraid. Really, just because of these vibrations and the fact that if you flew it like that out of the box, then it would just burn up an ESC. I don't know in what scenario that tune would work, even if it didn't have a camera. But, you know, if you're stuck on something heavier, like, you know, a GoPro or something like that, like, you know, a GoPro Lite, of course, then I think you could be burning up ESCs very quickly with that one. I think it's just this design of frame, to be honest. But yeah, this is about the best I can get it to fly. You know, we've got that sheen over the top there with the Nebula Nano camera. That's characteristic of the camera. But yeah, can't get over that tune. You know, they have created a brand. They've got the clothing and the, you know, the t-shirts and the hats, but in my opinion, if they'd have spent as long as they did on the tune rather than t-shirts and hats, and also the design, you know, so that it actually carries the camera it's designed to carry nicely, you know, maybe also have an outlet for a naked GoPro or something like that, then I think that would have been money better spent. Flying around quite nice now. We don't have a long flight time with this yet. It's a 650 milliamp 3S, so they recommend 850. I'd say there's no way that tune is gonna work with a heavier battery, not with PIDs that high. But, you know, I'm just cruising around here, which is really what it's designed for. If we go up on the throttle,
after 3.5 minutes, the voltage sag wasn't that bad actually. But yeah, I'm afraid I can't recommend this one. So what would I recommend? Because that's what everybody says. Well, you know, the same as I've always been recommending, and that is the Cine Pro 4K for analog. If you check out my review of the Insta360 Go, I've got a mount on there for it, and I got the best results out of that. And then the GEP-RC Rocket, again, similar sort of mount. But I'm afraid I would say give this one a miss, and I'll put links in the description to the ones that you should get, really. Yeah, it flies very similar to the Diatone Tina, but the battery voltage is at 10 and it very quickly is going to drop. So that is my review of this model. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.